Today we will discuss the topic of energy balance. What comes to mind when you hear the term energy balance, and what energy are we trying to balance? Why might it be important to balance our energy? We will be talking about balancing the energy we take into our body every day with the energy that we use every day. Maintaining energy balance can help us to maintain a healthy body weight. Maintaining a healthy body weight can also help us to reduce the risk of disease such as heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, and cancer. This program is funded by the USDA's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, through the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services. Think of your body like a car. If you don't take care of a car, it might not last long. So in order to keep your car maintained, you would have to change the oil, get maintenance checks, and replace parts every now and then. Our body is like a car because we need to take care of it too. Today we will discuss balance in the way we fuel our body and use our energy. Like a car, our body needs fuel. Everything we eat and drink provides the energy or fuel our body requires. Do you know how we measure the energy in the food we eat? If you said calories, you're right. Calories are the measure of energy in food and drinks. Certain compounds in food provide us with calories. These include carbohydrates, protein, and fat. These nutrients are called essential nutrients because we must have all of them in our diets. Now that we have consumed the food and beverages, let's talk about how our body uses the energy. There are 3 ways in which we use energy: basal metabolism, physical activity, and thermic effect of food. Let's discuss basal metabolism first. This term is also referred to as metabolism. This is the energy that our body uses at rest. Among the many things this energy is utilized for, some examples include to pump the heart, breathe, think, or even regenerate cells. Another method that energy is used for is to perform any body movements or physical activity. Sitting, standing, turning your head, raising your hand, walking across the room, running, playing a sport, exercising, or any bodily movement. The energy we use to digest our food is the thermic effect of food. We need to use energy to eat, digest, and absorb the food that we eat. This is not a large amount of calories, so we do not count this as a significant part of energy out. If we had a scale and put energy in on one side and energy out on the other, where would we want the scale to be in order to maintain our current weight? We would want the scale to be in the middle or balanced. We call this energy balance. In order to be in energy balance, our energy in needs to be equal to our energy out. As we discussed, our bodies need energy, but it is important to be aware of how we are getting calories to fuel our bodies. Over the next few slides, we will take a further look at where we get energy in. Carbohydrates are one of the nutrients in food that provide calories. 1 gram is about 4 calories. If you are wondering what a gram is, this is simply a unit of measure that is equal to the weight of a paperclip. It's another way of saying a weight using another unit of measure. There are 2 types of carbohydrates. They are simple and complex carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates, or sugars, are small molecules that our body digests quickly. Some simple sugars occur naturally in food, such as the sugar in fruit and milk. Other simple sugars are added to foods, such as sugar in soda and candy. Complex carbohydrates are larger molecules that take longer for our body to digest. Foods that contain complex carbohydrates include starchy vegetables, whole grains, and beans. Protein is important for muscle growth and repair and to help build new body tissue. It also provides 4 calories per gram. It is important to choose low-fat protein sources such as lean meats, fish, and shellfish, and this helps to reduce the amount of saturated fats that are consumed. Limiting consumption of fried foods like fried chicken or fish can be a great way of reducing the amount of saturated fat consumed. Lunch meats and other processed meats can also be very high in fat and sodium, so we should try to eat them less frequently. Beans, nuts, seeds, eggs, and milk are great choices, especially if we are a vegetarian and choose not to eat meat. Fat is needed in our diet to transport important vitamins, protect our vital organs, and keep our body insulated. We should try to choose more healthy fats and cut back on solid fats in our diet. Because there are different types of fats, it's necessary that we know which fats to eat more of and which to eat less of. Let's start with a fat that is good for us, unsaturated fat. This type of fat is good for us, and it is found in vegetable oil, olive oil, nuts, and fish. If you or someone at home cooks a lot, consider using olive, vegetable, or canola oil to cook instead of butter or lard. The next two varieties are fats that we should consume less often. Saturated fat is a fat that can raise your cholesterol, which can increase your risk for heart disease. Examples of foods that have saturated fat are dairy products, fatty meats, or fast food. This is why we should try to switch to fat-free or low-fat milk and dairy products. Trans fat is another fat that should be limited. This type of fat is also considered not as healthy because it can lead to increased risk for heart disease. Foods that are high in trans fat include fried foods and baked goods. Now that we know where we get our energy in, let's take a further look into how we use our energy and energy out. As mentioned earlier, there are 3 different ways we use energy: basal metabolism, physical activity, and thermic effect of food. Basal metabolism is the energy needed to stay alive. It is about 60% of our total calorie expenditure, but does vary depending on gender, amount of lean body mass, which is muscle, age, and even genetics. The energy we burn during physical activity is energy that is burned when we move our muscles on purpose. This is about 30 to 40% of our total calorie usage. The energy needed to digest food is the thermic effect of food. This is only about 10% of the total amount of energy we use each day. Which of these do we have most control over? You're right. Physical activity is something we have control over, and many people don't do as much physical activity because we have machines and computers that do a lot of our manual labor. Therefore, we have to put in extra effort to get enough physical activity every day. This chart gives a very general breakdown of the calorie needs for male and female high school students. As you can see, the amount of calories you need depends on your gender and your activity level. On average, males need more calories than females because they are usually bigger and have greater muscle mass. The amount of calories you need also depends on how active you are. The more active you are, the more calories you need. Think about which physical activity level category that you fit into. If you are sedentary, then you probably don't get much exercise. Maybe you get up in the morning, take the bus to school, sit in class all day, then head home and watch TV, play video games, or use the computer until dinner. If you are moderately active, you may walk to and from school. Maybe you do some other light activities during the week. Even walking around the mall would count as being moderately active. If you are active, you may play a sport or work out vigorously for an hour or more on most days of the week. As you saw in the previous slide, activity level is an important factor in determining a person's calorie needs. Beyond burning energy that we take in, why is physical activity important? Being physically active can help you increase your chances of living longer, feel better about yourself, decrease your chances of becoming depressed, sleep better at night, move around more easily, have stronger muscle and bones, stay at or get to a healthy weight, be with friends or meet new people, as well as enjoy yourself and have fun. How can physical activity be beneficial to your personal health? If you are not physically active, what does that put you at risk for? A lack of physical activity increases the risk of heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, high blood cholesterol, or even a stroke. According to the 2018 Physical Activity Guidelines, teenagers need at least 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity each day. Most of the 60 minutes or more per day should be moderate or vigorous intensity aerobic physical activity and should include vigorous intensity physical activity on at least 3 days a week. As part of the 60 minutes or more of daily physical activity, teenagers should include muscle strengthening and bone strengthening activities at least 3 days a week. Now that you know what the recommendations for physical activity include, let's take a look at some examples of each. Aerobic activity is continuous movement in a rhythm. These activities make you breathe harder and make your heart beat faster. Examples include running, jumping rope, swimming, dancing, and biking. Muscle strengthening exercises make your muscles work harder than usual. These exercises can include climbing, tug of war, lifting weights, and push-ups. Bone strengthening activities could either be aerobic or muscle strengthening activities. This is when we move our bones against the force of gravity. Examples include running, jumping rope, basketball, tennis, and weightlifting. Balance and stretching activities are also very important. These activities enhance physical stability and flexibility, which reduces the risk of injury. Examples are gentle stretching, dancing, yoga, martial arts, and Tai Chi. The guidelines tell us that most of our 60 minutes of physical activity each day should be moderate or vigorous in intensity. Moderate intensity activities include biking, hiking, rollerblading, or brisk walking. Vigorous intensity activities include running, jumping rope, and sports like soccer, hockey, basketball, swimming, and tennis. Now that we have talked about energy in and energy out, what can happen when our energy in does not equal our energy out? That's right, we either gain or lose weight. If we consistently take in fewer calories than we use, over time we will lose weight. If we consistently take in more energy than we use, over time we will gain weight. Let's take a moment to turn this into a potential scenario. You may want to have something to write with handy. If a person ate an average of 200 extra calories every day, how much weight would they gain in a year? 200 calories is about one 20-ounce bottle of soda. Let's figure out how much weight we could gain if we drank an extra soda every day for a year. Let's do the math. 200 calories multiplied by 365 days in a year equals 73,000 calories. There are 3,000 calories in 1 pound of body weight. So 73,000 calories divided by 3,000 calories equals 20 pounds of weight gained by the end of the year. What can we do to maintain energy balance? Energy in must equal energy out. Where does the energy in come from? Our foods and beverages. Remember to choose nutrient-dense foods to make sure you are getting all of our nutrients but not getting too many calories. Where does the energy out come from? The energy we need to live, digest foods, and perform activities through the day. So what can we do to tip the scale in the right direction to maintain energy balance? There are a few simple shifts we can make to balance the scale. Most of the calories we consume should be from nutrient-dense foods that provide calories along with important nutrients like vitamins, minerals, and fiber. We want to limit the amount of empty calories we consume from foods that are high in solid fats or added sugars and low in other nutrients. We should be mindful of our portion sizes, especially for foods that contain empty calories. Physical activity is the one factor that we have the most control over on the energy out part of the equation. Make sure to stay active and aim for 60 minutes of physical activity daily.